Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Now I've got nothing to say.
I know, now it just says
See, now we were talking away, and then you said, I'm going to record this, and now I've got nothing.
Baj, you're introducing, right?
I am. What introductions are really needed? You know, I can't repeat what I've said previously. We've got yourself, the godfather of podcasts, literally the podfather himself. I said pod, not pod, because we did pod the last time. We did pod the last time before that as well. So we're not going down that path anymore. The godfather, podfather, Mr. Tandon himself. And then we have somebody who's not quite Emmy because he's won Emmys.
That's very good.
That is very good, isn't it? I like it. I like it a lot.
That is very good.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, and if also
not Emmy because he's won Emmys. Wow.
Yeah, excellent. That's poetry.
There is, and also like from the old school Desi track, है ना जो the गिद्ध विच पै गया पचाल लोकी कहंदे Bhaskar.
Yeah, I mean I can't do that, can I? Somebody else has to.
Quite literally, it's like me. I can't say I'm a UPKA, my bleep way back. So from last time, but yes, we have our Baji. Yeah, and it's a great thing to say, Mr. Sanjeev Bhaskar. Thank you for coming back.
Man, that's a lovely thing to hear. That's kind of, and you know, both of you are my bras, so it's kind of it's great.
And
thank you very much for having me on.
You would come back, and you have.
Well, there you go. I have nowhere else to go. I can't leave the country. I can't leave the house. An alarm goes off on my wife's phone if I leave the house. So what else was I going to do? Just stay here.
We all know the feeling.
Tied down. And Baji, we were going to say, we got 2 pods to do now because we're going to do the FA Cup final and the Champions League final. And then we thought,
no, there's a reason why this is called It's the Finals Countdown, not the final countdown. So context to that. Before we did this pod about a week ago, I had it's like a lightning flash in my brain, and I rang Gags during the school run. So here I am. I've dropped my son off to school. I'm on my way back. I'm like, Gags, take notes, because I'll forget this, because we could be just more than one final. By obviously the time we do the podcast, we could be in 2 finals. Then we can't call it the final countdown anymore. It's got to be the finals countdown, and let's level this. I thought it was a nice pros to level this. We are amazing. We are beyond superlatives. We are a team that now has to be possibly the best of our lifetimes. We're a team that's heading into a quadruple, possibly. We are better than Sholle Bhature, definitely. We are most definitely better than Allu Wale Paronte on a Sunday morning whilst watching Mahabharata repeats on BBC Two. We're simply the ones who feel fine because, let's face it, we're in love with him because he told us about so many things. We're the mighty Liverpool who won it in Madrid and now might win it in Paris too. We could win the league, win another cup, and we're going to Europe too. We are everything we could wish for. We are Liverpool. We are 100% Liverpool.
Yeah, I think I said this last time, which is that, I've been a Liverpool fan for a long, long time, decades. And this is the happiest period I've ever been as a Liverpool fan. And it's got less to do with the winning, actually. It is just the spirit that Jurgen Klopp has brought into this club and to this team is the reason that I'm happy. And it's the spirit with which the team plays. It's the spirit in which they support each other. It's Jurgen Klopp himself, who I think is more than a football coach. He's a life coach. And, he came in and the first thing he said was, I'm going to turn doubters into believers. And he said, the first problem I saw is, why aren't these people smiling when they're playing? You know, it's a privilege to play this game. You should be happy. You should be happy playing it. And that's been infectious. And so the fact that, you know, listen, over the last couple of years, after waiting for so long for the Premier League and then the European Cup and the Super Club Cup, it was, you know, it was a great feeling. It was a great feeling. But that feels sort of strange now on the cusp of potentially winning 4 things. I still can't get my head around the fact that Liverpool Football Club have made it to 3 finals this year. That's amazing, amazing. And 1 point off the top of the league. But it is the spirit. It's the spirit of it. And you guys kind of go regularly to the games, and you know, I don't go to as many. But I felt that in the stadium. I felt that outside the stadium, amongst the supporters, the hotels nearby when I popped in to have a drink. It's a spirit. It's a spirit.
It is. And before you go on, Baji, sorry, I've only felt something similar 21 years ago when the treble was happening, and we were in 3 finals that year too. But obviously the difference is these cups, you know, there's a title race in this one, added bonus. That was a top 4 race or a top 3 race, whatever it was at the time. And there's a Champions League, not a UEFA Cup. The level is amplified when you're in a European Cup final, when you're in a Champions League final. It is just a different feel. So I totally understand what Baji's saying here, is that this is something that we haven't consciously felt, as in us as a collective haven't felt this before. Maybe, you know, our predecessors of the late 70s have felt this before, and that's why people are saying this is a second coming. And you know, just one more point is that it feels like not just Klopp though, it feels like off the pitch we've got it all right. You know, everything is right at the moment, everything. And well, when was the last time everything was right? When Peter Robinson and everybody was here, right? There had to be something right off the pitch for us to be successful on it, and then make the right choices in the right places. And those people get the credit. Obviously, the managers and the players, they all get the credit. But it looks like that synergy that was there then is now back here. And we could be on the cusp where Klopp's the Shankly Paisley in one.
Yeah.
And then the next is just, we're going to go even further yet. And it could just be literally the start of a real golden era.
You know what, Gags? I mean, I'm old enough to remember just about, you know, the period of the 70s and the early 80s. And it was an extraordinary time. You get used to winning, actually, and extraordinary team for that time. But, you know, this team is now, you know, it's kind of been hewn in a much more kind of international world than it was back then. And so that's what I mean about the spirit thing, is that the spirit, and it is, you know, not just the players on the pitch, but that's what I mean. It extends, to me, it feels like it extends through the entire club, through to the supporters, and through to everybody else. And that kind of spirit I've not felt before. And the fact that you win 3 finals and, you know, a point off the top of the league, in spiritually, to me, is a bonus.
In a sports washing era as well. In a sports washing era. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's an extraordinary achievement at this time, but also it feels like a much more international game now. You know, people follow it around the world a lot more than they did in the end of the 70s. You know, that's reflected in the crowd. I see at Anfield, you know, that's completely different. You go back and look at, you know, clips of the crowds at the end of the 70s and the 80s, and the crowds now, and you see how diverse it is. Not just in terms of culture, but in terms of women, more women coming to the games as well, kids coming to the games, all that kind of stuff. There is a spirit around it, which around the game and around this club and around this team that I've not experienced before. And so that's what I mean for me, the fact that there's 3 finals and, you know, potentially a league place, a top of the league place to play for, in some ways is a bonus. Because if I remember thinking this actually a few months ago, I remember thinking, if we don't win anything this year, I'm still really happy supporting this team and watching this team. And that's what I mean about the spirit thing. And I think that the people behind the scenes, whether it's from the owners down, or people who are in management or in executive positions, through to the manager and the coaches and the players and the supporters, I think have clubbed together at this moment in time, to create something truly special. And it's not something I've experienced before.
It's funny you should say that.
Speaking as a Buddha.
No, it's funny you should say that. When the FA Cup semi-final happened against Man City, there were some beautiful pictures that went out of the crowds, and the club photographers obviously captured quite a lot of Desi people. The one photo, and Gags, you'll know the people in this photo as well, believe it or not. There's one photo which had their most engagement across the board, and it wasn't your typical pan of a crowd which is going to be majority Liverpool or people from, I suppose, the Northwest, so to speak. But it's a photograph, of Singhs and Kaurs and Bargees all together, and they've got their daughters on their shoulders.
I remember seeing that. It was extraordinary.
So you've got Manjgil with his son and daughter on each arm.
Lovely.
You've got Amrit Paldiol with his daughter. You've got Kindi from Warsaw. So these are people that we physically know, and he's holding his daughter, and she's got her arm aloft and everything like that. And that was the one picture that the club told me encapsulated everything they ever wanted to see.
Wow.
They wanted to see that, because the engagement wasn't one of, oh my God, look at these people. How did they get these tickets? What are they doing there? It was one of, oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this great picture. Look at
their kids. Look at this.
Exactly. It was a look at this. It wasn't a look at who they are.
No.
It was a scene of kids, fathers, wives, daughters.
It was a picture of dreams that
absolutely
every Red wants their family to be like that.
Exactly.
Every single Red wants that. What they had in that picture, everyone wants it. And it was a picture of that is beautiful. And it was honestly so good. And it's so nice to hear that feedback from the club as well, Parg.
That really is. Yeah.
It was, so the conversation I was having just before the first leg against Villarreal with somebody from the club, when he was telling me this story, you kind of start welling up a little bit inside. You're like thinking, God, like how much we've actually come from where
I was then,
used to be, in the 80s, and to where we are now. And especially the people involved, because these are guys, they go week in, week out. They go more than me. They'll go to Europe. They'll travel abroad more than I do as well. And their level of commitment, and to see that energy buzzing from their kids as well, from kids who just, some kids will never get to go to a final. They'll never go to a semi-final. They'll never go to a Liverpool match. But these kids, they don't take it for granted. It's like the most biggest special treat they're ever getting. And it's like, wow, I'm going to go with my mum and dad, and I'm going to go to a football match, and it's going to go and see Liverpool. And for that to be encapsulated in one photograph, a snapshot in time, is just such an amazing thing. And for the feedback that it got as well.
Gags, you mentioned the word synergy before, and that's exactly it. That's a perfect example of it. Spiritual synergy. That moment, that's important to us as Desis, and important to us as Reds fans, that the club kind of acknowledge and see it in the same way that we do. Is that spiritual synergy? It's kind of like it's an extraordinary thing. I'm not I've spoken to friends who are a bit older, who had told me about going up to Anfield, the late 70s and early 80s, and being of colour, and being, having been given a rough time by fellow Liverpool fans, because that was the era that football was played in. I mean, you have that in all the grounds around the country, and so I was always really scared and wary about going to any kind of football stadium, because I saw the trouble and the fights and everything else, and it was rife at that time. So at this point in time, to see those kind of images, and when the cameras kind of pan across the crowd, at home especially, but also away, to see that mix of people is, for me, is an extraordinary thing, because it's suddenly the club that you love and the club that you've followed almost having grown up, like, you know, having a kind of angry teenager to somebody who's kind of like, I don't know, like Cary Grant or something. That's somebody that's kind of like sophisticated and cool and witty and funny and warm and embracing and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's as I said, it's an extraordinary time.
It is. Talking of extraordinary times, the final countdown was, of course, it was an absolute belter of a tune in the 80s, by a film called Maine Pyar Kiya, who just seemed to be Mere Rang Mein Rangane Wali.
I'm going to sing Mere Rang Mein Rangane Wali Pari ho ya ho Pariyon ki Rani ya ho Meri Prem Kahani.
It's the final countdown. I mean,
countdown.
in Europe. Okay. Clearly it wasn't. It was knuckly. It was a knuckly fake.
I do love the song though. Sorry, I do.
Rip off.
Well, as I think we said on the Kumars once, you know, it's what copyright? Copyright means right to copy.
Dearie me.
That's the way.
It's funny you should say that. So no, it was knuckly, it was fake. It's like rip off a song by Europe. So given many plastic things can be considered knuckly, a bit like Chelsea, really. What's the most knuckly Desi thing you can remember being out there? And just like that belter of a song, Mere Sawalon ka jawab do.
I've got one, but let's go with
No, go on, you go then.
So you know what? I used to travel to India a lot as a kid, and I, you know, one of the things that has changed obviously from now and then, we've got a digital era, and everything's, you know, available readily for you whenever you want, or maybe, you know, faster than it used to be. But back in the day, if you watched a good movie on the cinema, it would take 6 to 9 months for it to come on VHS. But in India, you would get the copies immediately with the cover, with everything, and even the Indian films, everything was done in VHS, and the best knuckly videos ever, because my dad would fill his suitcase up with these films, because literally you had nothing to watch. You had 4 channels and a video player. So if you had these videos, you can watch it, re-record and play again. No, sorry, that's a different advert. But you can watch these films again and again and again and again until it's yeah, you know, that's it. But yeah, the biggest knuckly thing I can remember was the tapes, and that was as a kid. But I was so excited holding these tapes in my hand and going, I can't wait to get back home from India to watch these films.
Well, the thing is that when VHS players first came out, you could rent the VHS player and 3 films for the weekend. So there was a whole thing.
Wow.
Because VHS players themselves were pretty expensive. You know, they were kind of like £500-600, a lot of money. But, you know, those clever people who kind of got that one tape from India, they then linked it to kind of 8 other VHS players that they had to make 8 copies. So if you were really unfortunate, you got 8th generation knuckly, which was it was like constant static on the screen. You were always adjusting the tracking. Because it would go out a little bit and stuff.
And your grandma would make you go to the floor and lie there and do the tracking.
Do you know what? You had to lie down, because if you sat up, somebody was going, and so you had to kind of lie down.
Danny. Oh man,
You're like a NASA mechanic or something working on the bloody space station. And also the other thing was that with families, I don't know if you guys had this or remember this, or maybe you're just too young, but there was an order because you don't have extended family around, or the Gwandia would be around, or, you know, everybody be around, and it was tiered seating. In that you had the
on the floor,
the most buzurg were on the sofa at the back. Then you had little people slightly in front of them, and the really chote bache were right at the front,
lying down,
and having to lie down at the front. And that was and so my uncle, who used to stay with us on weekends, right? My parents both worked, so we'd kind of get the 3 films and we'd say, okay, look, we're going to get it on Saturday. We'll watch 1 on Saturday night and we'll watch 2 on Sunday. Right, it's 9 hours of viewing we're going to get. And my uncle would arrive at kind of 10 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, and he'd watch all 3 on Saturday. Right. So by the time he's watching them, he's watching them for the second time. Right. So he's doing 18 hours of films over the weekend. And we would just say, Papa, don't tell us what happens. All right. He said, I'm not going to say anything. We said, don't say anything. All right. You always spoil it. He said, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. And then we were watching it and, be a mystery or something. And you go, that's his father. And Papa would go, you think that's and we go, don't tell us. He said, I haven't told you what it is. We said, you have. You've spoiled it. And he'd do that with every film, every weekend.
And the biggest one is print bada safa. Print bada safa. And it's like the difference between HD and non-HD now, isn't it? Standard definition. Print bada safa.
That's true. Well, if print bada safa, that means you got like maybe the 2nd or 3rd generation
exactly, yeah.
You weren't down there on the 8th, 12th and 15th generation Nuckley.
If you could hear the Esquire advert, then you knew it was a good copy.
Yeah.
Esquire. Do, 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 do.
Miko Bajadanti.
That was on TV. God, if that was on your VHS, you had problems.
There was also
It's an old advert.
Yeah, I do remember it, but it used to be on TV.
Sorry.
But also the coming attractions, the trailers for things. They always had the kind of Indian movie voiceover man.
Yeah.
Coming soon. And it's that
Eros.
thing where, Eros International presents. And so they would do that thing of, obviously pronounce the words right. Eros International presents Ugly Knuckly and Dharamatma, starring Jitendra and Dharmendra. But when he went to kind of English words, he wanted to sound really English.
Yeah, he did.
So he would do that thing of suddenly going terribly posh all of a sudden for no real reason, like Toast of London, except
It was
Toast of...
auditioning for your
Toast
show.
of Punjab.
He was auditioning for your show. That's what he was doing.
Oh, dearie me. But yes.
I once introduced, this is a big bit of trivia, I once introduced Amitabh Bachchan at an event in that voice.
Amitabh Bachchan.
Yeah, I said, welcome to Selfridges. In this London, I'm presenting to you Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. And then he came up because he'd just started doing, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh, right, okay.
And I said, Mr. Bachchan, are you ready to come on? And he said, yes. And I said, confident? And he looked at me like, you twat, like that. I've heard that a billion times. Confident, Mr. Bachchan, are you confident? Did you get your tickets from a ticket agency?
That really sounds like you did the voiceovers.
I wish I'd done it. Obviously, I wanted that job.
Yeah.
But always, also that thing of the other Nuckley thing, which I'm quite fond of actually, is that the Indian pronunciation of English words or names, and it was always the giveaway, like the ticket agency in Manchester. Do you know what I mean? It was the emphasis would all be slightly wherever they wanted to put it.
Yeah, exactly. That was very Nuckley.
I remember there was a guy who told me a great phrase once that his uncle had used, which was, do you know he's got a tobacco shop in a Leamington Spa? A tobacco shop in a Leamington Spa.
Oh,
that was his one.
The S bar, the S is the most. It's just
always a giveaway. He is a secret agent.
Paddy, what's your Nuckley thing then?
Jamington. Joke. No, it's not Jamington. Mine is a belter. So mine, because like Gags, I used to come and go from India quite a lot because my dad used to work for British Airways. So if you got on, you got on. If you didn't get on, you wait until you could get on somehow. But you were going to India. Campacola. Yeah. My God.
Do you know what? If we hadn't gone down that road, that's what I was going to mention.
Campa Cola has to be the most desi knuckly item out there that I can remember.
So good, man.
Because what was it, born in like 77 or something like that, when Coke got booted out of India.
Yeah.
Even the logo on the bottles was the same.
It was.
You know, the taste wasn't though. 100% wasn't. You either had a Campa.
Hey, rights to copy.
Yeah, but they could have copied the taste at least. And you either had a Campa or you had Thumbs Up.
That's right.
And
Thumbs
today,
still going?
Yeah, but today,
thumbs with no B in it.
Exactly. Bingo. To date, no kutta out there has solved the mystery of where the B went from Tums, but that's a different part for a different day. You know, but Campa was just like Chelsea. It was this plastic, tangy kind of tasting thing that rose just slightly above the Happy Shopper Cola kind of taste from back in the day. And it had proper dodgy advertising. I mean, it was risque dodgy advertising for the time in India as well. So, you know, like 4 or 5 teenagers on a boat somewhere near Bombay, snorkeling, going underwater with a bikini on Indian TV, honestly, back in the 80s as well. But there's a great, this is what you call, this is what I love about the Desi pod. It all links back to what we mentioned earlier with Mr. Mere, you know, Mere Rangame Rangane Wali, however you say it. In that ad was a 16-year-old Salman Khan.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
In that ad. And I didn't know this. I remember the ad, Campa Cola, Campa, you know, going just.
I just loved glass bottles. As a kid, I just loved that. They weren't in England. I never used to get glass bottles there. I don't know what it was, bottles of Coke or cans, right? But in India, it was bottles. I used to love holding a glass bottle and drinking, chugging it down. I don't know what it was. It was just going to India and saying, give me a bottle with a straw or normal, I'll chug it. I just lived on Campa or Thumbs Up, man, in India. Loved it.
Yeah.
Limca was my...
Maybe I used to get ill drinking Limca.
Yeah, I had a bad, you know, it was like
tastes nice, but it just used to make me ill afterwards for some reason.
I think it was all the Campa and the Thumbs Up without the B. I think if they put a B in it, it would have been fine. I think they took the B out and that just kind of rotted your stomach.
Yeah, absolutely too much.
And even that had sort of like an inflection on the Campa Cola, Coca-Cola kind of text for ages. And then they went through a rebrand. Then it tried to look a little bit like Pepsi. Then Pepsi obviously came to India, and then Thumbs Up thought we'll better change our colors back to what we were before, with kind of red and white thing. Now they've gone back to a bit of a Pepsi in between type thing going on. But yeah, Campa Cola was the one for me. Like, as regards to the most desi knuckly thing out there from the back in the day, that was the one.
Can I mention the one of the best adverts I've ever seen in my life? Right. So this was in India on Indian television. And it was so extraordinary that whatever was on, I waited until the ad break came on again, just to make sure that I hadn't dreamt this. So it was for some scooter company, possibly Bajaj, but something else, possibly something else. So the advert opens with a very attractive girl driving a convertible, kind of American convertible car. Right, and she's driving along, the wind's in her hair, she's got shades on, she's looking beautiful and striking and everything. Something catches her eye, and she looks to the right, and there on a pretty modest, motorbike, possibly scooter, right, is a guy who's kind of wearing black jeans, he's got black cut-off t-shirts, he's got shapely arms, and a black helmet, which is, sort of a mirrored effect on the helmet as well, so you can't see his face. She catches his eye and he kind of like speeds up and his head turns. He's obviously looking at her and she kind of drives. He does a wheelie and so she's kind of looking intrigued. There's music and everything and he's higher up on a ridge and stuff. And then he kind of stops, spins the scooter around and stops and takes off his helmet slowly. And, it's a kind of Bollywood looking guy, strikingly handsome, and the woman in the girl in the thing, she stops her car, takes off her glasses and smiles at him. He smiles at her, at which point the camera pulls back and she's on a train track and a train hits her car and obliterates it.
What the hell?
And then it just cuts back to the guy who just puts his helmet back on and scoots off.
What the hell? This is
I know,
an Indian advert.
And you kind of go, and it was, whatever it is, Bajaj scooters for the devil in all of us, whatever it was.
Oh my God, that's mad. They wouldn't be able to get away with that now.
It was that, and the other one, I have to say, which was like an infomercial, and it was so long I wasn't sure it was a series or not, but it was an advert, and it's kind of done in this old kind of Mahabharata type style thing. And there's this sadhu in the forest, everything. He's sitting there, he's meditating, and these kind of Mahabharata-esque kind of kings turn up. This king and his kind of princes or whatever, bedecked in gold and everything, and he says, Sadhuji, holy man, he said, my kingdom is falling apart, and I need wisdom. What can I do? And the sadhu kind of raises his finger. He goes, I know what the problem is. He said, your wife is too dark. And he goes, yes. The king says, yes, she is dark. And he goes, right, we've got something for that. And so basically you cut to all these people kind of mixing things and, chucky piecing and whatever they're doing, all that kind of stuff to make a little cream.
Oh my God. It is so bad.
Terrible, right? So this woman, who's attractive, dark-skinned woman, there's nothing wrong with that, right? She mulls all the bloody cream on her.
And all of a sudden she's white.
Then she bends down out of shot to wash it off, and up comes a completely different actress.
Luckily,
extremely luckily. And it was from some, like skin whitening cream.
That is bad. Oh dear.
She now works as an makeup artist.
Jesus Christ.
Weddings can be found booked Saturday, Sunday, Monday, even because now it's midweek weddings.
Listen, guys, do you remember a program called Network East?
Yes,
I do.
Yeah.
So Network East was the first telly I ever did. So I was a presenter for one or two series on that. I did the links because it would go from kind of like, here's whoever it is, Lata Mangeshkar has come to do some concerts here. And then you go, now basket weaving. Now there's a woman who does basket weaving in Wolverhampton. And so, I would do the links. And on that once, one of the very first shows I did was there was some event in London, and they said, we've got you a makeup. I'd never had makeup in my life. And they said, we got you this makeup artist, and she normally does weddings and things, but she'll do your wedding. She'll do your makeup for this event. I said, yeah, fine. And she said to me, she looked at me and she said, I know what you want. And I said, yeah, just something basic, I guess. She said, you want to look white, don't you? I said, well, not really. I mean, I've got dark anyway. I said, she said, no, leave it to me. Leave it to me. By the time she finished with me, honestly, I looked like a ghost. It was so pale, my makeup, that I do look like, and I've got two photographs from that time, and I look like a zombie. I look like I've been brought back from the dead. It's like I've been drained of blood.
Wow.
It's kind of, and that was on telly.
Can't believe it. Can't believe the whole fixation of this skin color stuff is horrific, isn't it? Really.
Well, big business, but also in America as well. For the African American community there, skin lightening, hair straightening, hair lightening, all of that stuff. Huge business. I think Chris Rock did a documentary about it.
Wow.
Once. So yeah.
Big business.
All Baji, very knuckly. Getting back to your point, all looking very knuckly.
Very knuckly. Okay, so the FA Cup. The reason why we said knuckly, Chelsea, the FA Cup. I mean, the first thing I can really remember about us winning and going mad about is the FA Cup for me. And for me, 85, 86 season, Everton, we take the lead in the first half. We rejuvenate, so they took the lead. We then rejuvenate, goals from Craig Johnson and Ian Rush. And, we made it the double that year because of that. And I've got the picture of Ian Rush's winning goal adorned in the downstairs toilet. And the reason why it's in the downstairs toilet is because I have lots of sporting memorabilia, most of it Liverpool, actually all of it Liverpool. And my wife's like, you can't hang that there. And currently, it used to be near the front door. She's like, I can't have it there. And she goes, you need to put it somewhere where people will always ask about it. I'm like, I put it in the downstairs toilet in the cloakroom. She goes, you can't put it there either. And I go, well, everyone will talk about it. We'll go in there and see Ian Rush, and they're definitely going to have a conversation about it when they come out. To date, no one has asked me about that photograph in the toilet.
You know what it is, right?
It's never been a conversation piece.
It's the word rush. It makes your peshab go quicker. That's what happens. People look at it and they go,
Bit like Everton's defense in the 80s.
Yeah.
To be honest, talking about that final and all the finals that were happening, we had one nightmare one in 88 as well, but the those are the goals as a kid that I just used to replay and never get tired of watching Rush's doubles. You know, he scored 2 in both. And, you know, you just would never get tired of watching those. And the FA Cup meant so much more back then. And it's so nice to feel so excited about an FA Cup final again. It's kind of been neglected by us as fans and the club even as well. And we haven't been in a final for like 10 years. This is 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
10 years in a final. And like, that's way too long for a club of our size. You know, and we've let people like Man City take over the cup and just, you know, whore on it, really. That's all they've done.
Gags, and so it's almost been 10 years to the day since we lost to Chelsea in that FA Cup final.
Wow.
Give or take.
Was it that early in the season?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Wow. But, you know, you're right about, you know, the FA Cup thing. It used to be one of the highlights of the year because I remember a time where, you know, BBC One and ITV would show it. The build-up would start from 10 o'clock in the morning. There'd be, you know, they'd be at the hotels. You'd have reporters at the hotels. You'd have reporters on the coach. Then you'd have themed shows to do.
Helicopters following the bus all the way.
Yeah, and all of that. Yeah, you would constantly come, but also because they had to fill time. It was usually about 3 o'clock or something was the kickoff. Was you'd have themed programs that day. It might be a comedy show, but it was themed to the FA Cup, or a quiz show that was themed to the FA Cup. It was, I mean, that build-up was huge. I mean, it was absolutely huge. And it was, you know, my parents weren't into football at all. My dad kind of just wasn't really into sport, but he would watch the FA Cup because it was an event. It was a kind of British event. It was like, I don't know, the final of Wimbledon or something. It was a major thing then, major thing. I mean, you know, given the not many channels, obviously, at that time, but they would devote, both channels would devote, you know, half the day to it.
You would watch FA Cup final day and FA Cup semi-finals day as a kid, even if your club wasn't in it.
Yeah, that's right, because it was that big an event.
It was that big of an event that those 2 weekends were huge. The semi-finals would be back to back as well.
That's right.
On the same day in two different cities, stadiums, and it was so much fun to watch, especially the years where it was goals galore. You know, it was just so. And I always used to love.
Yeah, I don't really like the goals galore one because it went against us. Yeah.
I always loved the journey to the final. And it used to be a major part of the programming that you talked about.
That's right.
And they'd have music behind it and stuff. Yeah, and it would it just with the commentary and the music and the fans and the it just I don't know why that was a highlight for me as a kid. I was like, I can't wait to watch the road to the FA Cup final, for Liverpool. And I used to tape the whole day on my VHS. We keep going back to this bloody VHS player, don't we? The Scotch tapes came in handy, man. They came in handy.
So did the other tapes, because obviously you wanted to record when it came on the radio, the team song.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So, the team would release a song with the FA
GDK tapes as well.
Oh yeah.
So that's how big it was. That's how big it was that a club, would get together with a pop singer or not and release a song, specifically for that appearance in the FA Cup. That's how big it was. So
people would buy it.
And people would buy it, yeah. I mean, a chart, it'd be kind of like a top 10 song. But what I mean to say is that, outside of it sort of merely being a sporting event, it would be comedy shows would be referencing it and quiz shows would be referencing it. And the pop world would be referencing it. So it was that big a deal. I don't think kids now, I'm sure my son wouldn't he probably wouldn't believe me. That it's like, it's like talking about, I don't know, street parties after the Second World War or something. It'd be that alien to him that, that everything the nation would stop to kind of like follow it.
So it's not always been our friend. Let's face it, guys. Sometimes we've had semi-finals that haven't gone our way. Palace. We've had finals that haven't gone our way. Wimbledon, United in the cream suits. See, and yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how I felt. Like it's terrible radio with Gags there, but yeah, the cream suits one was heartbreaking. And obviously the last time we had a semi-final, luckily we won it. The one before that was against the Villa and we lost to them. And the last final was Chelsea. I mean, folks, will it be the League Cup all over again and penalties deciding this, or will it be ours in 90 minutes? Will it be the day of the Diaz? Gags, what do you think? I mean, obviously, we've gone straight to Baji all the time in regards to this.
It's going to be.
Let's hear from you. What do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be done in 90 minutes this time. I think we've had the extra time and the penalties. I think Chelsea are there for the taking. They might be up for it a little bit when they get to the final, but I think there's some internal strife going on over there. The Lukaku problems. Rudiger has already gone to Madrid or whoever it is. I can't remember, but I think it's Madrid. He's already off. He's fucked off. That's not a good sign, man. It's the club is in a bit of trouble in terms of being sold. They've only got till the end of the month to get sold. People's careers are on the line. Players don't know what's going on. Players don't want to be there if it's not sold. Or is the owner coming in going to be a good one? All these things are going to go on in the player's mind. And yeah, people might say they're going to be up for it. They're going to be rested, Liverpool. But I'm sorry to say that this Liverpool team, for Chelsea fans, they're in trouble this time. We played you already. And boys, you haven't played Thiago yet once. And when that boy gets on that pitch, in midfield, they're going to feel some pain this time. And I think also there's something happened to Mo Salah in the last 3 days. Maybe it's the appreciation of being voted the Writers' Player of the Year again for the second time, which a lot of people don't get, by the way. A lot of players don't get voted twice by the press. They normally pick a new player after a few years, literally twice in 4 or 5 years. It's Mo Salah. That's massive, by the way. That's a statement. I've got a feeling this end of season run now, the last 5-6 games, something's going to happen with Mo, where he's going to go off on a crazy run. Because I think he feels like he's got a point to prove to everyone. Chelsea, Madrid, because of what happened. Chelsea's his former club. He wants to win everything as well. He wants to win the league. I think he's got a feeling City are going to drop points as well. He said it. I got a feeling something's going to happen. We're just going to do our job. And, I love that man so much. He's obviously, everybody knows he's my favorite player at the moment in the squad. I've got loads of favorite players, actually, to be honest. But if there's one player I want to get redemption this season, and, I kind of said he got redemption in Madrid last time for scoring the penalty, but there's no better real redemption and revenge than against the club that you lost to. So one thing I really love, Baji, about him is that he's been honest and transparent throughout everything. His contract talks, when he's doing an interview, if you look at Virgil, if you look at Klopp, they're all saying the same thing. Yeah, whoever we get, it's okay. This and that. Are you going for a quad? We'll go game at a time. This boy is simple and straight to the point. Yes, we are looking for a quad. Yes, I want to play Madrid. I have something to do. I want to stay at this club. There's a few things we need to iron out. The club know what I want. He is stating it as it is every time, and he's getting shit on by people for being transparent and honest, which we ask our leaders of the world and our role models or people to be. Yet when someone is being it, we want to fucking shit on him. And there are a lot of fans trying to shit on him. So to those fans, fuck off. Right? And just look at what the fuck the guy's doing. Whenever he says something, last year, when we lost 6 in a row, he said, this isn't good enough. I promise you, I will turn this season round. What did he do? We went on a flipping goal scoring streak at the end of the season. And we went third. And that wasn't just down to Mo. It was all the other players as well. I agree. And I admit, shouldn't be just Mo getting the credit. But my point is, there's something in this guy. There's a drive. There's a determination. And when he starts to say those things and do those things, it shows you something just clicked. There's that film, Asam Masi Satakli or something, or whatever. I don't know what the word is, but something is Satakli for Mo. And I got a feeling, man, he's going to kick everyone's ass, and Chelsea's first.
Well, the thing is, what he's been honest about is his motivation. And the thing is that, we talk about, the spirit of the team and the spirit within the club and everything else. But they are individuals. They're individuals first. And each of them will be motivated, self-motivated in a different way. And this is Mo's. This is Mo's motivation is, eyes on the prize. That's what he's aiming for. I think that the reason I think he got the Football Writers Association award is actually for his all-round play. It's not about the number of goals. Yes, he's the leading goal scorer, but leading in assists is extraordinary. And the thing is running off the ball. It's what he brings to the team. And the thing that also, which has given me greater faith, was the Villarreal game, which was to kind of watch that first half and go, I don't recognize this team. And for Klopp to kind of just move a couple of pieces and for them to get fired up and click. And so the ability to do that with that bench as well is that so whatever happens in that first half, you kind of know that they're a team that can fix it. They can adjust, they can adapt. And they're all really smart players. And this was the thing I was reading about City's loss to Real Madrid, which was, and a lot of the analysis was saying that, City play in a particular way. And when it isn't going their way, that it suddenly falls apart. They don't know what else to do because that's the way they play. And if they're not being allowed to play in that way, then they can't adapt. And that was the thing that I saw with Villarreal, was to kind of, and I've seen it in a couple of games actually, where Trent has kind of held back. He hasn't gone bombing forward because he's been told to kind of just hold back on this one, and he's done that. And the team adjusts around it. I have a lot of faith in it.
The City point, and I don't want to come across as a sympathizer or anything, but I think they got done over very unluckily as well. Like how two goals in a minute. Like it's like the Man United flukes of the Champions League win against Bayern. It's so like you said, it was like 5,000 to 1 chance of something like that happening for someone. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, even like the offside goal against Spurs in the semi-final, they do have this bad luck. And to be honest, it was the Touré's agent. Did he curse them?
Touré's agent.
Yeah. So I think. Look, it's an Indian. It's like an Indian thing. It's like if you another luck.
Yeah, but it was. But so specific.
You'll never win the Champions League.
Yeah. The guy was doing the incantations. Did you say the FA Cup? Well, he said, no, Champions League. Well, do you want the FA Cup as well? I don't really care about that. Just the Champions League. It's really specific. It's really specific.
I honestly believe they're cursed in the Champions League.
I just sit there and I think, Parminder Nagra had her Kevin Keegan moment. I'll tell you what, when Jack Grealish put it across, I'll tell you what, kind of thing. But talking about tell you what, I mean, from my perspective, I think the way this Liverpool team is playing and the way they played at the semi-final against Man City, irrespective of how Man City set themselves up that day, they could do a serious damage to anybody. Now, from where we were in February to where we are now is a completely different story, like a completely different story. And you guys are right. I think Mo is definitely motivated for many things, but I think the whole team is
like that.
Motivated. Is it a Chidi? Is it a George? No, it is Super Mo. Yeah. I think he really is. And I think that comes and emanates throughout the squad. Like from Virgil, from Alisson, from Henderson, from even Diaz. I mean, like the new kid on the block, we didn't know too much about him the last time we spoke. And he's just come up and he's just torn the place apart.
Revelation.
He's torn
Absolute
the place
revelation.
apart.
I mean, it's that thing of, giving you something different. And the thing with Diaz is that he's got that Suarez-y thing, is in that he's kind of unpredictable. And you kind of go, if I'm facing him, I don't quite know. I don't know what you're going to do. And you might do 1 360. You might do 3 360s. I've got no idea. You can.
The word is nidar, I think.
Nidar. Yeah.
Nidar. No fear,
absolutely.
Man. The boy is not afraid, Baji, of like you said. He will come on the pitch, and all of a sudden he kind of senses the crowd as well. Like he plays off it. Like when we scored, and then he does that flick when it comes over to him, and this ball is coming full pelt from Trent, and he does this control with, oh my God, my cousin, right? And I'll name him Tiger, right? Tiger, Samir calls him.
Oh, yes, Tiger.
Right? Tiger. We call him Tiger because we walked into his room once, and on his duvet he had a big tiger. He's doing it with a big tiger. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Since then, his name's Tiger. Anyway.
I bet his mum and dad got that from a Millie.
Yeah, exactly. Or something like that. Anyway,
what did the others get in exchange?
They got somebody got the Gada, you know that, right? But anyway.
We gave them a Gada, and they gave us a bloody tiger. Now what are we going to do?
But he goes to me, as soon as he did that, his two little boys picked the ball up. They left the game on the TV. They picked the ball up and went into the conservatory and started practicing.
Yeah.
How beautiful! I was like, that is amazing. When he told me that, literally, like in WhatsApp, while he goes, the boys would just run off with the ball and started practicing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want. You want a player to inspire or, get somebody up to go and do something like that's literally lifted a couple of kids up, excited them so much to go and do something. That's one of the most beautiful things ever. And if a player like him can do that, he's got a long, long way for, as in he's going to go a long way. Not like he's got a long way to go. He's going to take us bloody a long way, I totally agree, Baji. He is something special. Honestly, something special.
So, talking of something special, as I said before, I think to yourself, Gags, earlier in the week, as soon as we get after this weekend, it could be every week we could be winning something until the beginning of June. We could be winning something until the beginning of June. And big ears is around the corner. It is what? After next week is a few fortnight away. It's like 3 weeks away. From where we sit right now. I'll be there. You'll be there, Gags. I know plenty of other people listening will be there as well. So is it going to be magnificent seventh? I mean, the Champions League is amazing. We have such a history with it. We have a love affair with it. We can love to hate it at times as well. We've been there together, Gags, in Kiev, where we really hated it. And a year later, we loved every minute of it because we never thought that we'd be back there within a year. I didn't think we'd be back there within 2-3 years again. Truth be told, I thought, like with pandemic and everything else was going on, I didn't know when we're going to go back. But we're back again, Gags.
We're back.
First full season of football. We're going back.
We are, and we're going back. We're going to continue to go back, and I think, it's an unbelievable feat first and foremost from Jurgen Klopp to be able to achieve this. It's his fourth European final as a Liverpool manager, his fourth Champions League final as a manager, his third Champions League final in 5 years at our club, and 2 of them were a pandemic, and 1 of them we were totally destroyed with injuries. Honestly, he is, and 1 of them we only went out because we had Adrian in goal against Atletico. At the end of the day, this is a manager that, like I've already said, he's going to do crazy things, but it's the people, the players in this team, and I think they know what this means. That loss, the best thing that could have happened to us was Kiev, even though we hate to say it, Baj, because they took a shot from that, and then the next year they literally didn't lose a game. Or something, went 97 points or something after that. It was like, honestly, mental form and a Champions League win. And at that time I was saying, and I made the point that there'd never been a team that had won a Champions League and got that high points in a league season. Mm-hmm. Even Man City have never done it, And last year they did it. They got to the Champions League final. They didn't win it, but they got, they didn't really have a race, a title race. But last year was they could rest all the players they wanted at the end. If you're neck and neck with someone the whole season, there's no space to give up a point like now. And you still get to a final, all 3 finals. This is surpassing that year, Baj. The one that we thought was unbelievable. It's surpassing it because
it's going to, Gags. I mean, look, we're entering a week where it could be winning something every week. That's what a time to be a Red.
I mean, I'm not as confident as others about the Premier League. I'll be honest with you, but I am.
You shut up.
No, but I'm.
Stop it right now.
I'm totally happy with the treble. I am, and I think the games, anything that we can control. So if City, by the way, drop points, they're fucked. I know that for sure. They're fucked. If they drop points, they're fucked because this Liverpool team is not going to let them go then, and they know it as well. So, but talking about the Champions League, it's in our hands. Real Madrid are beautiful. I thank them for one thing, that they're going to make my final, this final, a little bit less stressful, because if it was Man City, literally that they are up here, in your mouth the whole game.
Well, it's funny you should
your
say
own, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, yes. So we used to have in the old Desi podcast, Gags, we used to have the curveball. Do you remember?
Yes.
Not curveballs, curveball. just to make sure. Yeah, curveball. So this question isn't anywhere in anything that I pre-wrote for this. Have you realized how Real Madrid's team have all got Desi names? Like really, you could go through their team.
Go on then.
Right. Leaving Courtois aside, the second goalkeeper's name. Guess what his name is?
Go on.
Lunin. That's his name. Defender, Carjabar, Carvajal. Who else have they got? Nachalo in defense. Yeah. Kashmiro is a midfielder. Kashmiro, I mean, come on. How much more Pendu can you get than that? They've even got Valverde plays in midfield as well.
Yeah, that's true.
They have Valverde.
True. That's very good.
Exactly. Mercedes Benzema up front. Billah. Vinny. Everyone's got a cousin Vinny who's Desi.
Oh my God.
There you go. And then they got one called Mariano.
Okay.
Mariano.
Listen, Mercedes was a little bit desperate.
Yeah. Mercedes
it was a little bit desperate. Benzumar. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ ਬੈਂਜ਼ ਹੈਗੇ ਨਾ ਬੈਨ ਸ਼ੈਪਰਡ ਹੈਗਾ ਔਰ ਕੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਦੋ ਤਿੰਨ ਹੋਰ ਬੈਂਜ਼ ਲੱਗੇ ਨਾ ਬੈਂਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਰ okay, that's it.
Indeed. But yeah, okay, the jokes aside, I mean, look, Salah wants revenge. I want to revenge. We want revenge.
We do.
In true Desi Punjabi style, will we have our badala? I feel that we will. I think
we will. I think also because I think that, I mean, yeah, Real Madrid's comebacks have been extraordinary, actually. I mean, they've done it 3 times. It is extraordinary. And they've got game changers. But I think that with in Kiev, I mean, you guys were there, Liverpool weren't unlucky, really. We weren't really good enough. And that's what Klopp recognised. And that's what, the changes he made immediately. He looked at that and kind of went, okay, this is what I want my team to be. And with Man City the other night with Real Madrid, I don't think they were unlucky. I think they switched off. And I don't think Liverpool will do that. I think Liverpool will kind of, in the same way that Liverpool adapted to Villarreal first half, second half, I think Liverpool will go in there and read the game. And I think that's the difference. I think that they can adapt. And, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Origi came on and scored the winning goal. Because he's that kind of player. I mean, it's that weird sort of mercurial type player that you kind of go, well, he hasn't had much game time. You stick him in there. Suddenly, the opposition have something different to think about and to deal with. They've got their game plans for everybody else. They'll double up on Salah. They'll do all that. They double up on Salah. That means, either Mane or Diaz, or whoever's playing, is slightly freer. There's all those things, and Liverpool will be thinking about those things and saying, okay, if we need to change this to this to this, we've got the personnel. That was the big difference at that time to this team now. Is this team has been together for the last couple of years. Diaz is coming new and just kind of slotted straight in. But I think that they all know each other so well now. They know how each other plays. You haven't got you've got passion and criticism on the pitch. You haven't got them falling out or all that kind of stuff. I think that is what I think will give Liverpool the edge.
What do you reckon, Gags? Because my feeling is really simple. A fully fit squad and all firing Liverpool is a match for any team in the world.
I think we're going to be so up for that game. And I think Madrid are going to be tough to beat as well, because let's be honest, you have to respect them. They got a bunch of 4-time Champions League winners in their squad, which is unbelievable, by the way. We're lauding getting to a final 3 times. These guys, some of them have won it 4 times, but then with that comes age, with that comes maybe slow down, with that comes how many times can you fight back? and if they did that against us, they'd bloody deserve it, fair enough. But I think sometimes it's a step too far. And I think maybe where that's going to be a bit too high. And that bar's been set very high now. Before, that was them. We were here. And it's kind of switched down. It's turned the other way. And we've set the bar and we've said, look, we can go head to head with sports washers and they can't beat us. We're going to be more successful than sports washers this year. Who do gonna band? You know what I mean? So it's that kind of attitude, that kind of respect, though, as well. There'll be some respect, Paji in there as well. But at the end of the day, the smack hits will be laid down, and I think I honestly, one of these finals, and I keep saying it, and it's going to happen. I'm going to keep saying it until I'm bloody right. Someone's getting smashed.
Yes, Gags. That's the one.
To be Chelsea in the last one. It's either going to be the FA Cup final that they get smashed because we owe Chelsea one, but I would love it if it was Real Madrid that got smashed. Really, because we are owed a couple of finals where there's no heart in mouth. That's it. We are owed a couple of finals where it's just Aramna Gane Go Sara Sari game Gane Go. That's it. Goals, Jaijan. I see Gane Gaijan.
You know what? But we've experienced it the other way around. With Milan. In the follow-up final after 2005 was. They were motivated. And again, we didn't have a team that could necessarily compete at that level, but they were motivated by that. And I think in the same way that Mo's been really clear about his motivation. That's going to be there. That's going to be present for any of the players who were part of that squad. They'll know how that feels. And they know what the reverse feels like, and I think that's going to be their focus. So I think they will be kind of there's laser focused on that.
There's other motivations as well. They're like new players like Thiago and Jota and Diaz, and these guys want to win their first biggie with us. And if the Premier League is a step too far, which it could be, and it might not be, but this could be the game that cements that legendary status for somebody, or for the whole squad even, because once they've won that trophy, they're never going to be forgotten by anyone. We've seen that with what happens with past legends of 2005. Whenever they come to Liverpool is grabbing them and taking them to pre-season tours and, getting them to tell stories. You're literally, you're immortal. You're immortalized by winning this trophy. Or the Premier League, one of them. And if you win both in a season, then forget it. You're never going to be forgotten. But that's how massive it is. And those guys have done it again and again and again and again. There's still players in this squad that will be doing it for the first time for us. Thiago's won it before. But he could join Seedorf as the only player to win it for 3 different clubs. He's done it for Barca, for Bayern, both under Pep. And this one will be the first. No. Actually, but Bayern wasn't under Pep. Pep has never won it after Barca, thank God. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was Jupp, wasn't it? Heinkes, I think. So, no, who was the last one? Was it? It wasn't Heinkes. Who was the one before? It was Hansi Flick. Flick. He won it with Flick, didn't he? Just now, before after Pep. They won it just they won it in the pandemic year.
Yeah.
Flick. So, yeah. So
yeah, but on the other side, Ancelotti's got his kind of reasons as well. In terms of the number of cups he's won with different clubs. And
I think it'll be like unbelievable if he does it with them as well. He's got a record to beat too. But he's won 1-1. So in European Cup finals, it's 1-1 versus Ancelotti. We beat him once, we lost to him once. So this is the decider. Against Real Madrid, we beat them once, they beat us one. This is a decider. And then Klopp has faced Real Madrid twice in the Champions League for Liverpool and lost both. So this is he never loses 3 in a row. He just doesn't do it. He just does not live by 3 in a row. So fingers crossed. That's what stays true.
But and obviously, I want to see Liverpool winning everything. But inner thoughts out. If we didn't, I still think this is an extraordinary time. I still think it's an extraordinary team. I still think, the gratitude that I have for the feelings that this team has given me over the last couple of years will continue. And the thing is that because I know what happened the last time, in Kiev, Klopp looked at it, learnt, and built something much, much stronger, which has been, which kind of, gave immediate results and has been ever since. So, yeah, it's a given that I want Liverpool to win everything. But, I mean, Jurgen Klopp said going into the Villarreal game, he said, look, it's not a given. It's not a gimme. It's half time. We've got to respect them. And if they beat us, then, credit to them. And you kind of go, yeah, that's being realistic. That's not somebody who's kind of saying, we're going to win. I promise we're going to win. He's not the Mourinho thing of, the best team lost. It's none of those things. And so he goes in there without that kind of on himself, that kind of pressure. He kind of goes, okay, yeah, we focus. We do our job. We know what we're supposed to do. We know what we're good at. Let's do that. And if we don't do that, then we didn't do it. So, as I said, the feeling that I have towards Klopp and towards this current incarnation of Liverpool Football Club as a team, the biggest emotion that I feel is gratitude.
I love it. Indeed. So, home life. I have to ask about this. So, one, given all the football matches that are going on, do we still have homes to go to? I think, Baji, you probably do, even though you've now been tagged to stay at home. Gags, I know, is on the borderline of it. Me, I there's a reason why the office is outside the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a sofa bed, that's why. I'm telling you that I can feel it in my bones. The time is coming where my wife is going to turn around and say to me, okay, mate, you know what? You want to go to all these matches? Ja, you keep going. Vapas aayi na. So
honestly, I thought you were going to say you were going to sublet it.
I know. That's next year. Yeah. Told ki karni hai. Field khet hai ya. Jungle pani around the corner. Shower, yeah, well.
I've told you, Baji, in the last few weeks, you keep saying, Aja, chal, Spurs, chal. And I said, look, Baji, main nahi ja sakta. Mainu shente pehne hai, tu mainu bacha le ya ki. Kehta, main teri boti nu phone karta. He's like, I'll ring her. And Baji's helped me a lot in all the time, but in recent last 6 months life, he's helped me a lot. And so if he went to my wife and said, I'm taking him, she wouldn't even say no to him. But I just said, look, knocker. Look, I went to so what was the last game we went to? We went to Villarreal. Yep. Right now, this week there's a break because it was an away game. And we're going to Newcastle, so there's a break. Now there's a game home. You're telling me to come. I said, look, rende, because then I'm going to go to the semi-final, going to the FA Cup final. I'm going to Wolves, and I'm going to Paris. So there's 3 in a row, right? I said, also, I'm going away without her. So
talking of Bakshana, so we had a benti, a little bit of a pledge from the AI community. Yeah, a bit of a message of hope and help from Sanjeev Bhaskar to the suffering wives or better halves of all those traipsing all over England and Europe to watch these mighty Reds. Can you give us a bit of a helper to play to our significant others in these times of Liverpool just going out to try and win everything?
Think about the best way I can put it. This time comes once in a lifetime. Do not protect. Do not defend. Attack these moments that mean so much to everybody. Let these men go and fight the battle so they can come back and be better husbands, better lovers, better cooks, better DIYers.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Pai. That is awesome. Oh my god.
We're gonna be tied down to the house. It's gonna be proper ball and chain for the summer, Baji. That's what's gonna happen.
I think it's a small price to pay, isn't it, really?
Completely.
I can't get to any of the games. I'm filming at the moment, so I'm hoping that any of the games that we're playing, I'm able to kind of watch it in some fashion, because either if I'm actually, in fact, series 2 of Unforgotten, I can't remember whether I mentioned this last time. The very last scene of series 2 is a shot of myself and Nicola Walker, who played my detective partner in the first 4 series. And it's the climax of series 2. It's the very last scene, and we're in a cafe. And when we were filming it, and I can't remember who we were playing, but we were playing, I think it might have been a London team of some kind. But I was filming the scene and the game was going on. So I was trying to watch it on my phone as quietly as possible. And then someone would say, okay, look, we need to do the scene. And then I'd have to kind of remember my lines, what the emotion and blah, 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 blah. And so I switched the phone off, stick it in my pocket and everything. And then midway through the scene, in the pub next door, I heard, a roar go up as Liverpool had scored. And it was one of those moments which was kind of mid-scene. We're doing this quite intense scene. And I hear, yo, on you Reds. I'm like, come on, like that. And, obviously ruin the take. So, I'm filming at the moment, so I have to be very careful in terms of how I manage my time.
Gosh.
Wow.
So I have to ask the question. It's a straight yes, no. Quadruple.
What the hell? Let's say yes. Let's say yes. What the hell?
Gags.
It's never
Quadruple.
been done for a reason. It's never been done for a reason.
Right. Yes. Yes. Come on.
No. But because you're asking, and we believe in positivity and positive vibes to spread around the world for the Reds. Fuck yes.
Yes. Do you know what it is? Do you know why I thought, what the hell? Yes. Is kind of, if it's a no, it's a no. Right. But I don't have to embrace that at this stage. I can deal with that later if that's what happens. So right now, it's that thing it's that great line, which I saw in a film actually, which was, it's not the despair, it's the hope I can't stand. Because you kind of go despair. I know what despair feels like. Hope it's terrifying. And then the other day I was talking to someone about a charity thing, and I said, do you know what? I think we're better off if we make hope your friend. It's not expectation, it's hope. Separate the two out. I'm not expecting a quadruple. Hoping for it, yeah. So in that sense, yeah, hell yeah, let's go for it.
I don't know what I'll be feeling if it happened. I really trying to mentally prepare for a moment. To be honest, winning any of the big trophies is going to move me massively. So I always get very emotional when we win a big one. But if we win all of them, it's gonna be one of the best feelings, like probably the best feeling ever. I just can't tell you how. Like I was telling Baji the other day, they were losing 2-0, right, at halftime, and I was just walking out here, and I just got, because it gets hot in this room, so I just walk, and wife goes, "What's up with you?" Because my head's down, and normally I'm just like singing and dancing at home. I go, for the first time, we're losing 2-0, and I'm, it's a bit of a stress. She goes, "What are you worried for? They're going to win, watch." And they went and won. And she does it regularly. I was like sometimes I'll be just talking to her and I'll say, it's a big game this weekend. I'm pretty stressed about it. Jit jana koi gal nahi. Jit jana. Main kehta na, jit jana. And they fucking go and win.
Yeah.
FaceTime before the final.
We should be asking her about the finals.
Yeah.
She should be a guest.
What are we talking to you for?
Yeah, I will be asking her before we go. So it's
rather nicely. It's a.
Let me just say, just before you kind of do your very kind of neat and effective and emotional tie-up, which is that yes, we're talking about scores of games, right? The end score, we want the end score and stuff. I honestly feel, and going back to what I was talking about at the beginning about spirit and stuff, I feel like I've already won. I've already won with this team. It's that togetherness. It's like something if your kids kind of like get a disappointing mark in something, or they don't play well at something, or they're upset about something. It's kind of, what the overall thing is, you kind of go, we're one team, we're one family. We kind of move on from it, and so I've already won. This stuff is bonus. This stuff is bonus stuff, and that's why I can embrace it fully with hope, because I kind of go, already won. It's not me proving anything to anyone. I don't think the team needs to prove anything to anybody. I think that all the motivations, great. They've got their individual motivations. That's fantastic. But I think this is a glorious time to be a Red. Glorious time.
Yeah, I don't think we should stress. I think the problem is, like, a lot of Reds are stressing about every single thing that's going on. I think we need to take a step back and just grasp this and enjoy what we're witnessing, because when it's done, that feeling's going to come and go. You know, that moment when you've won it, it's going to come and it's going to go, yeah, you'll be unbearable for months and years, maybe will be unbearable for if it happens. But the process is important. And I think enjoying that process is important. I think a lot of people have forgotten how, and I keep tweeting it and I keep saying it, exactly what you keep saying, Paji, that this is, you've got to appreciate what's already been achieved. You're playing every game in a season. You're in the biggest competitions, and you got to the final of all three, and 1 point off the top of the hardest league in the world, which is riddled by sports washers. I mean, that if there's an achievement, and if they go on to do it, it'll be the greatest sporting achievement of all time. If they do the quad, if they do it, it's the greatest sporting achievement of any team sport ever. And I'm not hearing a word of it, because there's never been a Man City in any other world. There's never been anything like it, you know?
You're right. But also people forget that, you know, our emotions coexist all the time. So, you know, right now there's excitement and there's anxiety and there's kind of worry and there's joy. I mean, it's all going on at the same time. And as individuals, you know, when you step back, you kind of you can see all of them, right? Rather than being in the middle of one, which is what happens when you're anxious or when you're scared or, you know, when you're excited or whatever. That's the emotion that surrounds you, and that's the one that dominates. But if you step back, you kind of go, all of them are there, and then you can just go and embrace one of them. And so I think, you know, it's what you said, Gags. I'm just kind of like reinforcing that, which is right now, we've got the option of kind of embracing what that joy and that excitement feels like, to be, you know, supporters and fans of a team that are in this position. All the other things exist. I'm never saying that they don't exist. Anxiety exists, the worry about it. What if we lose? What if we kind of, what if someone gets injured? What if 2 injuries? What if, yeah, all of that stuff exists as well. But so does the excitement and the joy. And it's just about you know, stepping back and then stepping forward and just embracing that one for a bit. All the other ones will still be there. They're not going anywhere, but you've just kind of faded them into the background slightly. That's all it is.
Amazing.
I love it.
Absolutely love it.
Indeed. Talking of things that I love, so we've come towards the end of the pod. As always, we always get to things like plugs and everything else. I know once we did bugs. We did bugs.
I think we should all do. Yeah,
we should. So a bug of a plug for me has to be the missus. So my wife is extremely patient. I've said this before on many pods. I'll say it again, because I literally do take the piss. So if I can work away of being at a football match, I will be there. I will work my meetings around it. I will work my work schedule around it. I'll join conference calls from cars. I hope somebody else drives, kind of thing. But it drives my missus up the wall right royally, because, as I said, people have got things like school runs, after school things that are going on. And sometimes the stress is obviously when you've got to make someone do both. So I'm going to make my wife do quite a few 2 runs in a week or so, which I'm sure she's going to love, and she knows about them. So a big shout out to Rupinder Kaur at AWMB. And the reason why they need a big shout out is because they are going to go and climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So about 19, 20 odd ladies, even more than that, as part of an Asian Women Mean Business thing, are off to be the first South Asian posse, in inverted commas, that are going to go and South Asian lady posse, that is, that are going to go and climb Mount Kilimanjaro in August. So that's my shout out. That's the big thing. You follow her on AWMB, so you can follow me if you want. You know what? I'm not that exciting. You'll see some pictures every now and again of people at football matches and people going mad. Maybe Gags going a bit crazy some point. soon. But hers is going to be a much more interesting follow because they're looking to be in world record breakers because it's never been done before. So they thought, you know what, here's a challenge. So they said to Zod, they're going to do that. It's a bit like us in the quadruple. It's a challenge. No one's really done it. So they said, oh, we might as well be the first. So that's my shout out. It goes to her because she's patient. She helps me. And I said to her, you know what, I will definitely plug AWMB on this pod because it's giving me the opportunity to go and live my dream, which is seeing Liverpool win everything.
Fantastic. Well,
yeah, I want to plug AWMB as well because it lets Bargy live his dream. And if Bargy's living his dream, then he's a happy man and he makes everyone else happy as well.
I want to plug AWMB as well, actually, because I've now that I've kind of AWMB, I can now, it trips off the tongue so smoothly and so easily. But also, you know, it is kind of, you know, again, as somebody who's relative Buddha, that to see, you know, Desi folk and Desi women particularly becoming the force that they always were in a kind of public way it's not an easy journey. And so a huge shout out to them for I guess what they're doing, which is the AWMBing stuff. All of that stuff is really important. That's fantastic, that kind of support and that kind of network, but also to take it you know, through to these kind of physical challenges as well, because these are in turn always inspiring. They inspire the kids, boys and girls, and especially kind of inspire other women, and should inspire us Bunday as well. And because it's a fantastic humanitarian, human, compassionate, exciting, interesting thing to do. So big shout out to them and Rupinderji for that.
Awesome. Thank you very much indeed. Any other plugs, Gags?
No, I'm filming at the moment. I've got nothing coming out. What I'm doing won't be out till January, so I've got nothing else.
I'm just going to plug Anfield Index, basically. If you're listening, make sure you check out everything that the lovely gents and ladies are doing on the site. Please do support them. Please do support the channel as well. It's a really busy time. There's games every 2-3 days. That means there's previews, there's post-match shows, there's other content to be done. So everybody's really, really working their asses off. I want to say thank you to them as well for all their efforts in keeping things going on the channel. I've, you know, taken quite a bit of a backseat lately with the new job and change of lifestyle and stuff. So, you know, that man that used to work 18 hours a day before, as you know, just doing his day job at the moment, and you know, I've taken, after 10 years of working hard on this, I've taken a bit of a backseat. So it's just it's right for me to plug and praise all those people that are keeping the lights on, you know, and making sure that all those that listen and we get feedback on a daily basis at how AI has changed people's lives and how, you know, it's got people out of dark places, and you know, that's a very kind thing for people to say, and it's very powerful for me to listen to, because it just, you know, I need to come and say it on here, so it drives those that do work on it even further, because they're doing something good for someone without even knowing it. And to know that this platform can do that for someone is an immense source of pride for me, for Baji, for all of us that, you know, spend some time on this. So thank you for listening.
Here.
Thank you to everyone for 100%. Putting the effort in as well.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's not taking you out of a dark place because you still don't switch your bloody light on.
Honestly,
in your dungeon, it's like as if you can't even put 50 pence in the fucking meter, Gags. You know, I'm gonna send you little 50p coins.
I got light browsers. Look, there's browsers on the screen here for the light. Okay,
that you're getting it light. You're getting your light free from the monitor. You light the browser, the light browser.
Free light मिल रही है हम लोग.
Exactly.
Free light है क्या?
Thank you.
I'm surprised you're not under a street lamp.
Electricity कितनी महंगी हो गई है आजकल. Electricity ठंडी. Lucky.
I mean, if you open the curtains, you might get a street light through, Gags. You never know.
There's no curtains in this room. It's a cinema room. It's literally painted.
Do you know what outside looks like? Have they painted a mural on the window or something for you?
You could get a jar with fireflies in it.
Look, I
can get those.
I don't know if you're able to see this, right?
You can get those
over there.
You can get those from India as well.
It's thingied out, but I've got literally massive Klopp picture on the wall right next to me over there, and it's the one of the squad picking him up and throwing him in the air after the Champions League final.
Brilliant. Yeah, nice.
And I bought the print because of Greg, Anfield Index. Again, plug for the shop. Go to Etsy. Go and have a look at all our prints, please, folks. You'll help us out. A bit of business there as well. There's a big one of Klopp laughing, and he's in the air, and the players are chucking him in. And I got nearly like a life-size one. It's massive, and it's just on the wall. And that's, sometimes you're sitting there and you're a bit down. My head turns right, and I see Klopp flying, and I'm just like, yeah, I feel good again.
If you look really hard, possibly under Sana's bed, if you do that sort of under manja, like you said, do you remember those luminous stars you used to get as a kid?
Yeah.
If you put 2 of those on his account, then maybe you'll get a bit of chamak in the room.
Actually, if you do that, if you kind of light it for enough time, you'll be able to use that to light your face. You'll be able to light your face from the chamak in Jurgen's account.
Mate, I'm going to use that cream that they made in that advert.
I have used it.
Oh, dear. What a pod. What a pod.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Indeed. So it's been great. Thank you very much once again, Spargy.
Always a pleasure.
And with yourself, Gags, like obviously Desi, we don't get to do as often because of work commitments and life in general. Now with football matches, I feel like we're going to be getting much more together, because I think it's going to be the first time also in ages, Gags, I'm going to see you at a football match every single week until the end of June, because that's not happened for ages either.
Nope.
Yeah. Can't bloody wait.
It's going to be great, and we've got now Discord I don't have to carry around a laptop and recording equipment with me. We're going to use our phones. We'll sit next to a phone and we'll just record direct into bloody Discord, and we can record from there and do it live so people can listen to us. So now
is that like Discord Divane?
Disco Divane. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, we should. It's Discord is a platform.
Do you remember Gags is just maybe half an inch taller than Mithun Chakrabarti. And he is the original Discord dancer.
Everyone is half an inch taller than Mithun Chakrabarti. Everyone on the planet is half an inch taller.
Gags, all right, that was a big thing for him.
What a legend, man.
Yeah. Gags is a Discord dancer.
Sorry.
Indeed. I can imagine you in the Silbury kind of suit as well.
A bit of that,
There's
a lot of Bollywood in this pod today, isn't there?
There has been a lot of Bollywood in this pod.
But what I love about this is that, the conversation always goes wherever it wants to go.
Like a Desi, that's the whole point. like a Desi podcast.
Well, like a Desi day out.
Yeah, completely. It's exactly how this pod started.
That's why, Baji, we love it when you come on, because there's so much story. There's so many things that will come up into your head as we're talking about something, and it'll go off. And that's it. We just have a whole different tangent, but it still relates and comes back to point of what the pod was. Like the knuckly stuff is it's just wonderful to have you on, mate. And you bless us by coming on. So thank you so much. And
I love it. I love it. And thank you so much. No, you don't know me anything. This is just kind of a joy. It's always a joy to do. Always a joy to spend time with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Baji. And with that, folks, you'll hear from us soon. Take care and up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.